welcome to English Podcast Academy. Speak English with confidence, build a strong mindset, and unlock your true potential every single day. Hello everyone, and a very warm welcome back to another exciting episode of the Personal Growth Talks podcast. I am your host, Mike, and I am absolutely delighted to be here with you today. But today is extra special because I am not alone in the studio. I am incredibly happy to say that my wonderful co-host, Sarah, is sitting right here with me. Hi Sarah, how are you doing today?
Hi, Henry. I am doing really well, thank you so much. And hello to all of our amazing listeners around the world. I have to tell you, Henry, I am deeply excited about today's topic because it is something that absolutely everyone can relate to, regardless of where they live.
Yes, you are totally right, Sarah. It is a topic that touches every single modern life. So, let me start by asking you, Sarah, and also our listeners, a quick but very powerful question. Have you ever honestly thought about what your life would look like if you spent an entire, full day without touching your smartphone? No messages, no social media, no internet. Just zero screen time for 24 hours.
Oh, wow! Just hearing you say that out loud sounds a little bit scary, but also deeply exciting at the same time. Let's be honest, Henry, most of us use our smartphones constantly throughout the day. We use them to send urgent messages, check social media, complete our daily work, listen to music, and even as our alarm clock to wake us up in the morning.
Exactly. Our phones have successfully become an extension of our hands. We check them the dynamic moment we open our eyes, we look at them while we eat our meals, we keep them next to us while we work, and they are the very last thing we look at before we go to sleep at night. It feels almost impossible to imagine a normal day without that little glowing rectangle. But recently, I decided to break the rules. I put my phone inside a dark drawer and tried exactly that, a whole day without my phone. And today, we are going to talk openly about what happened, what was incredibly difficult, and the powerful lessons I learned from this experiment.
I cannot wait to hear this story, Henry. And for our listeners, we will also explore how this technological break connects directly to your personal growth, and how it can dramatically improve your English learning journey. So, please stay with us until the very end. This is going to be a highly entertaining and thought-provoking conversation.
The science of digital addiction.
So Mike, before you dive into the details of your no-phone day adventure, I think we should first analyze a crucial question. Why are smartphones so incredibly addictive? Because honestly, it is no longer just a simple tool for communication. It has become something we feel we completely cannot live without.
That is a brilliant point, Sarah. The truth is, these modern phones and apps are scientifically designed by experts to grab and hold our attention for as long as possible. Take social media platforms as an example. You unlock your screen with the intention of looking at just one video for 1 minute. But then, the algorithm keeps feeding you more videos, and suddenly, 30 or 40 minutes disappear without you even noticing the time passing.
Oh, I am definitely guilty of that. It is like falling into a deep digital rabbit hole. And it is not just social media, it is the constant flow of notifications. Those little dinging sounds, those flashing lights, and those gentle vibrations. Every single time your phone makes a sound, your brain instantly experiences a wave of intense curiosity. You think, who sent me a message? What exciting thing is happening online right now?
Yes, and there is a fascinating neurological explanation behind that. Scientists have proven that when your phone receives a notification, your brain releases a small dose of a chemical called dopamine. Dopamine is a chemical that creates a feeling of pleasure and reward inside us. So, without realizing it, we are slowly training our brains to check the phone again and again, chasing that tiny reward.
That makes so much sense. It is a psychological reflex. And sometimes, we don't even need a notification to buzz. We just reach into our pockets, unlock the screen, scroll mindlessly through random apps, and lock it back up. Many people perform this exact action hundreds of times a day completely unconsciously. But it's not just about entertainment, right? Phones also give us a powerful sense of security and connection. If we feel a tiny bit bored, we grab the phone. If we feel lonely, we instantly text a friend. If we get lost in a new city, we don't worry because we have digital maps. Our devices give us instant answers to every single question in the universe.
Exactly, Sarah. That is precisely why they feel so vital and necessary to our survival. But at the exact same time, when we depend on them too heavily, it becomes deeply unhealthy. We slowly forget how to just sit quietly with our own thoughts, or how to fully enjoy a beautiful moment without needing to take a photo or instantly check our messages.
That is a beautiful and profound observation, Henry. Phones are incredibly powerful, but if we are not disciplined, they will start to control us instead of us controlling them. Which is why I am dying to know, what happened when you chose to step away for 24 hours? How did this crazy experiment begin?
The experiment begins and the morning test. Well, it was definitely one of the biggest challenges of my entire year, Sarah. Let me tell you how it all started. One bright morning, I woke up, looked at my device, and a radical thought popped into my head. What if I just completely turn off my phone and don't use it for the next 24 hours? At first, my own mind told me it was completely impossible. But then, I decided to accept it as a strict personal growth challenge.
Wow, Mike. That is incredibly brave. I honestly don't think many people in modern society would dare to try that. What was the main reason that pushed you to make this decision?
I looked at my weekly screen time report and felt shocked. I realized I was spending far too many hours staring at that little glass screen. I was constantly scrolling through social media, checking my work emails every 5 minutes, and always anxiously waiting for the next notification. It was creating a silent, continuous layer of mental stress. I wanted to see what real life would feel like without that constant digital connection.
That makes complete sense. Sometimes we are totally blind to our bad habits until we take a big step back. But tell me, how did you prepare for a day like that? You couldn't just vanish.
No, absolutely not. I had to plan carefully. First, I contacted my family and a few close friends the night before. I told them, hey, I am doing a personal experiment tomorrow and my phone will be off for one full day, so please do not worry if I don't reply. Then, I sat down and wrote a physical list of all the basic things I normally rely on my phone for. Things like checking the time, setting a morning alarm, or looking up geographical directions. I had to find old-fashioned, alternative ways to manage those needs.
That is so smart. So you basically had to prepare to live like humans did before smartphones were invented in the 2000s.
Exactly. It felt beautifully old-fashioned. I wanted to see if I could live fully in the present moment, without a digital screen constantly pulling me away from reality. And the very first big test arrived the next morning. Normally, my phone is my alarm clock. But that morning, I had to use a simple, mechanical, old-fashioned clock that goes tick-tock next to my bed.
Oh, that is wonderful. So your day didn't start with a screen. Usually, the very first thing 99% of people do after turning off their morning alarm is stay in bed and look at messages or read the news.
Yes, that used to be my exact toxic habit as well, Sarah. Normally, I would stop the alarm and then lie in bed for 15 or 20 minutes scrolling through emails or reading news articles. But on this specific morning, because my phone was completely off and locked in a drawer, there was absolutely nothing to grab.
That must have felt so incredibly strange at first. What did you do instead of scrolling?
Since I had no excuse to lie in bed staring at a screen, I actually got out of bed immediately. Laughs, I walked straight to the kitchen, made myself a hot cup of green tea, and just sat quietly by the dining table for a few peaceful minutes. At first, it felt like a part of my body was missing. My right hand automatically reached for my empty pocket twice. It was a pure subconscious reflex. I wanted to check the time or see if anyone had messaged me. But then I smiled and remembered, no phone today. So instead, I did something I hadn't done in a long time. I looked out the window, watched the birds flying, listened to the gentle sound of the wind, and just truly enjoyed the morning quiet.
Wow, that sounds absolutely beautiful, Mike. In our daily lives, we are so deeply absorbed in our digital screens that we completely fail to notice the simple beauties of the world around us, like the morning weather or the sounds of nature.
Exactly, Sarah. And another major change I noticed was breakfast. Usually, when I eat my breakfast, my eyes are glued to my phone watching YouTube videos or skimming through news updates. But that morning, because there were no distractions, I just ate my food slowly. And you know what? I actually tasted my food much more deeply. I appreciated the flavors because my mind was fully present at the table.
Navigating the real world without Google Maps. That sounds like a magical morning, Mike. But a peaceful morning at home is one thing. What about the rest of your day? Going to work, traveling around the busy city, and communicating with professional clients? How on earth did you survive all of that without a smartphone?
Ah, that is where the real, intense challenge began, Sarah. After my calm morning, it was time to step outside and start my working day. And this was a massive test because, like most modern people, my phone normally acts as my assistant for almost everything. It holds my to-do lists, my business calendar, my maps, and my emails.
So what was your very first step? How did you know what tasks to complete?
Well, usually I would unlock my phone to check my digital calendar. But because I planned ahead, I wrote my entire to-do list down on a physical paper notebook the previous night. It felt highly unusual at first, but carrying a little paper notebook and a pen instead of staring at a glowing screen felt incredibly refreshing and therapeutic. But the biggest adventure happened when I had to travel across the city for an important afternoon meeting. Normally, I would automatically open Google Maps to check the fastest traffic route and call a ride. But that day, no maps. So, I had to stop on the street and do something I hadn't done in years. I approached a stranger and politely asked for directions face to face.
Oh my goodness, Mike. That is amazing. In the digital age, people are often terrified of talking to strangers. How did the person react when you asked them?
To my wonderful surprise, people were incredibly kind and helpful. The first gentleman I asked gave me clear directions with a warm smile. And another person even walked with me down the block for a few minutes just to make sure I found the correct building. It was a beautiful reminder that human connection face-to-face is a highly positive and heartwarming experience. Smartphones make life extremely convenient, but they also build invisible walls that stop us from interacting with real human beings around us.
That is so profoundly true, Mike. But it couldn't have been entirely easy. Were there any moments where you felt deeply frustrated or lost?
Oh, absolutely. It wasn't a perfect fairy tale. For instance, during my business meeting, a client asked me to verify a quick fact from an email sent last week. Normally, I would pull out my phone and find it in 5 seconds. But that day, I couldn't. I had to say honestly, I don't have my device with me today, so I will verify that information and write you a letter first thing tomorrow morning. At first, I felt slightly unprofessional and unprepared. But then, something interesting happened. Because I didn't have a phone on the table buzzing with notifications, I gave the client my 100% undivided attention. I listened deeply to every single word they said and took detailed, handwritten notes. The client actually noticed my intense focus and commented on how much they appreciated my deep respect and attention. It made the meeting feel significantly more meaningful and successful.
Wow. So instead of multitasking and half listening while glancing at your phone, you practice deep, active listening. That is an incredible lesson. But what about the classic smartphone habits, like checking the time?
Oh, Sarah, it was hilarious. Throughout the afternoon, I kept automatically tapping my empty right pocket every 10 minutes to check the time. I realized with a shock that I don't even own a traditional wristwatch anymore because my phone used to do everything. I had to rely on big public clocks on buildings, or politely ask people what time it was. It made me clearly realize just how deeply dependent I had become on one tiny piece of plastic and metal.
The emotional roller coaster and the gift of freedom. This is fascinating, Mike. You faced the practical challenges beautifully. But I am very curious about the emotional side of this challenge. How did you feel internally throughout the day? Was it relaxing, deeply stressful, or a wild mix of both?
It was definitely a wild emotional roller coaster, Sarah, and that was perhaps the biggest surprise of the entire experiment. During the first few hours of the day, I felt a strong wave of anxiety and nervousness. It is that modern psychological feeling called FOMO, the fear of missing out. My mind kept inventing imaginary problems and disasters. I kept worrying, what if an important client is trying to call me right now? What if there is an emergency in my family and no one can reach me? What if something major happened in global news and I am completely in the dark? My brain was actively fighting against the quietness.
I think that is a very natural reaction, Mike. We often tell ourselves that smartphones reduce our stress because they keep us safe and connected. But in reality, they create a secondary type of chronic stress because we feel a heavy social pressure to always be available, 24/7, to answer everyone immediately.
Exactly, Sarah. But here is the beautiful turning point. Around 3 p.m., a sudden shift happened inside my mind. The intense digital anxiety slowly dissolved and completely disappeared. I suddenly realized a profound truth: the sun was still shining, the cars were still driving, the world was moving forward perfectly fine, even without me checking it every 5 minutes. And the moment I accepted that truth, I felt an incredible wave of something new: absolute freedom.
Freedom. That sounds beautiful, Mike. Please describe that feeling for our listeners.
I felt physically and mentally lighter. I no longer felt the invisible obligation to instantly reply to messages. I didn't feel the need to keep up with endless, noisy opinions online. I could just focus 100% on where my feet were standing and what I was doing at that exact second. It felt like taking a deep, clean breath of fresh air after being trapped in a smoke-filled room for years. Of course, there were also moments of pure boredom. For example, when I was sitting on the public bus heading home, I had no phone to scroll through. Normally, every single person on a bus pulls out their screen to kill time. But without a screen, I just had to sit there quietly with my own thoughts. At first, it felt uncomfortable and boring. But then, because my mind was quiet, I started to observe the unique faces of the people around me, listen to the humming of the bus engine, and creative new ideas for my English Academy began to flow naturally into my mind.
I love that so much, Mike. Boredom is not our enemy. In modern life, we use smartphones to destroy every single second of boredom, but by doing that, we also accidentally destroy our mental space to think deeply, be creative, and let our minds truly rest. So emotionally, it was a beautiful evolution, stress at the beginning, leading to deep freedom, calm, and heightened creativity at the end. For life-changing lessons for English learners. Now, Mike, after successfully completing this full 24-hour phone-free challenge, what were the main, overarching lessons you took away from the experience? How can our listeners use your experience to improve their own lives and their English learning?
I discovered 4 major, life-changing lessons, Sarah, and they apply directly to anyone trying to master a new language.
Lesson 1: Radical Awareness of Habits. The first lesson is about developing a deep awareness of our automatic reflexes. I realized just how many of my daily smartphone actions were pure, unconscious habits. The moment a tiny bit of boredom or difficulty arrived, my hand reached for my pocket automatically. For English learners, this is crucial. Be honest, when you encounter a difficult English reading passage or a hard listening exercise, do you immediately lose focus and open a social media app to escape the challenge? Recognizing this bad habit is the first step to destroying it.
Lesson 2: The infinite value of deep focus. Without constant notifications constantly breaking my focus, I could concentrate deeply on one single task at a time. Whether I was reading a book, writing notes, or having a conversation, I was 100% present. Phones make us feel incredibly busy, but they completely destroy our ability to focus deeply. If you can dedicate just 1 hour of phone-free, uninterrupted time to studying English, your brain will absorb vocabulary and grammar 5 times faster than studying with a phone buzzing next to you.
Lesson 3: The Power of Authentic Human Connection. When I was forced to ask strangers for directions, the communication felt deeply personal, real, and meaningful. It reminded me that language and communication do not require a digital screen. For our language students, this is a golden rule. Stop hiding behind text messages and language apps all the time. Call a friend, meet an English-speaking partner face-to-face, look at their expressions, and practice real, authentic conversations. That is something no mobile app can ever replace.
Lesson 4: Designing a Healthy Balance. The ultimate lesson is about balance. I do not think smartphones are evil or bad. They are incredibly useful, miraculous tools. But I learned that if we are not highly disciplined, the tool will start to control us, instead of us controlling the tool. Personal growth is never about throwing technology away and living in a cave. It is about learning how to master technology and use it in a smarter, healthier way to build the life we want.
Practical tips for your own digital detox and outro. That is an incredibly powerful set of lessons, Mike. It's about creating a healthy boundary to give ourselves space to grow, think, and truly enjoy life. I am certain our listeners are feeling highly inspired right now. But a full 24-hour no-phone challenge can feel terrifying for a beginner. What are some practical, small steps they can start taking today?
I totally agree, Sarah. You don't need to dive into the deep ocean immediately. Let's start with small, highly achievable steps. Tip number 1, the phone-free morning. When you wake up tomorrow, do not touch your phone for the very first hour of your day. Instead, eat your breakfast mindfully, read a physical book, or do some light exercise. This simple habit sets a calm, focused mood for your entire day. Tip number 2, establish no phone zones. Create strict rules in your house. For example, absolutely no smartphones allowed at the dinner table when eating with family, and 0 phones on your desk when you are actively studying English. This guarantees your full, high-quality attention goes to your learning or your loved ones. Tip number 3, choose real conversations. Instead of endlessly texting your friends back and forth all week, pick up the phone and call them, or arrange a real face-to-face coffee meeting. It is vastly better for your mental health, and it immensely sharpens your English speaking and listening skills. Tip number 4, screen-free hours before bed. Put your smartphone completely away at least 1 hour before you go to sleep. Read a book or listen to a peaceful podcast instead. This will significantly reduce your stress levels and help you sleep like a baby.
Those are spectacular and practical tips, Mike. Remember, small daily choices lead to massive personal growth over time. A little bit less screen time will automatically mean a lot more mental peace, deep focus, and true happiness in your life.
Well said, Sarah. And that brings us to the end of today's special episode of the Personal Growth Talks podcast on English Podcast Academy. I deeply hope our raw conversation about spending a day without a phone gave you some exciting ideas to try out in your own beautiful lives. Thank you all so much for investing your valuable time to listen to us today. Don't forget to hit that like button, click subscribe so you will never miss any of our future inspiring episodes, and please share this video with a friend who might need a digital break today. Yes, thank you everyone. And if you dare to try a short phone-free challenge, please write a comment below to share your experience with us. We would absolutely love to hear from you. Stay mindful, stay curious, keep practicing your English, and we will see you beautifully in the next episode. Bye for now. Take deep care, everyone, and master your time. Bye-bye.